History time! I'm procrastinating a lot, and I don't. It's go time. It's Wednesday. I have the whole day to make a video. Let's see how this does. What's up, you guys? Oh my god, I'm cancer. Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome to history class. I have a film student in the back that I have to compete with. It's probably gonna be real formal too. It's gonna be awful. Oh, you thought you could be a history student? Nah. It's out. I don't want to do this. Yes, I do. I'm very enthusiastic about history. Sometimes. Welcome to Mary's history class, where we talk about things. Oh god, I want to die. I don't even know what I'm shooting. I don't even know what's going on. I haven't even started on the research part of this project yet. I'm just staring in front of a freaking camera, and this book is here mocking me because I have so much freaking quizzes to do. Maybe I overreacted. I have acquired a hat, and I have calmed down. I tried researching. I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna need some clarification from Mr. Green. Why the heck are Iranian uniforms so freaking ironic? Let's ask tomorrow, and we're gonna continue and finish all my other projects so I can spend the rest of the weekend on this, because I want it to be good. But I gotta ask some clarifying questions. I also work on a shit ton of quizzes. I have returned enlightened. Also, I'm a Brax. Thought I'd grab a hat, you know. What else did I get? Ooh. I got a navy pin. Ooh. Look at it. He's so small. Look, I'm like so official now. And also a bit of a reflex buy. I got an air horn. Wait. I can be like the real person that does that now. I cracked myself up. I also got a discount thingy there. I have an account with them now. Alright. I've been enlightened by mon prof. We're going to talk about some uniforms, and I've also seen some other people's presentations, and I kind of know what we're doing now. Kind of have an idea, and now I understand that I have creative expression here. So enjoy. We're gonna be looking at Iranian uniforms. Specifically, the Navy uniform. But that'll be later, because I just want to talk about uniforms right now, because, like, why the hell do super awesome buff boys need to be wearing really, really dapper uniforms and colors and blah, blah, blah. And I'd like to talk about a little bit about the meaning of a uniform in general. So uniforms, they represent who you're fighting for, really. But on the grand scheme of things, the idea of how you represent your country has changed dramatically from long ago, when military tactics are very different. The current modern form of most military uniforms are very tactical, kind of camouflage-y, but they used to be very bright and pretty, and I do have a theory behind that, but I'd like to elaborate a little bit on why a lot of people take uniforms very seriously. Why we have very, handsome individuals, in really nice suits, with a gajillion medals. Like, I don't know how the heck that person even began to wear, or what they did to deserve that beautiful patch. They take it very seriously because it's a sense of pride, of nationalism, sort of maybe even a sense of morale. Like, I'm representing, like, you know how you buy your merch or whatever of your favorite band or whatever? Well, you're actually representing the people you're risking your life for when you're wearing your uniform. So it means a lot to soldiers. The US takes it so seriously. Like, it appears that the US flag patch that they have on their thingy-majig is backwards. Why? Well, actually, it's because since they're carrying their weapons and etc. nowadays, since they can't carry a flag into battle like you would long time ago, they do it on their flag instead. So, like, if you think about the American flag, it's like you're rushing into battle and it's waving in the flag this way. It's pretty crazy. So, yeah. Uniforms, serious business for a lot of countries too. In every little detail. Because not only what's on your uniform represents what you've accomplished, but also a sense of identity. Not only the US, but many other countries around the world have very specific ways of dressing their soldiers for that purpose. Like I mentioned before, things have modernized and are a little different now from once they once were, and I will elaborate on that further. Oops, it's 2 days later. Poetry. I'm an English major. I want a double major in French. Language is my deal. And the reason I think things are different now is the mentality towards war. I'd like to think soldiers have become a little bit more satirical and or skeptical, or more honest, just dealing with the terrors now. While back in the day, fighting for your country kind of usually meant that you were really good at physical things and not thinking, so you didn't write poetry about it. So other people did that for you. And the documentation of what war meant to somebody in 1649 is going to be different from someone 1965, because soldier intelligence quality has changed, because you gotta have smart people fighting if you want to win. I'm sure we figured that out. But I've selected 2 poems that I think contrast the mentality. I've chosen The Death of the Ball Turret Gunner, and Tu Lucasta, Going to the Wars. So I'm gonna start off with Tu Lucasta, Going to the Wars, because, well, this is what the mentality was in 1649. Tell me not, sweet, I am unkind, that from the nunnery of thy chaste breast and quiet mind to war and arms I fly. True, a new mistress now I chase, the first foe in the field, and with a stronger faith embrace a sword, a horse, a shield. Yet this inconsistency is such as you too shall adore. I could not love thee, dear, so much. Loved I did not honor more. So let's take a look at that poem. Analyzing literature. He's basically saying, I'm gonna cheat on you with the concept of war, because it's how, like, the call to honor that he mentions, or love not honor more, that, like, call to war is comparable to another mistress, essentially, and kind of romanticizing the idea of fighting for your country and, you know, represent kind of thing. Another poem to read, The Charge of the Light Brigade. I think that's also another one if you have ever wanted to read it. It's basically about how these guys went into a canyon, and it was basically a suicide mission, and it has a lot of imagery on, like, red coats and stuff, but it's like a really long poem, so I didn't read it. But I think it does a really good job of, like, the perspective, because that perspective, the viewer is watching not actually soldiers. And this segues into the next poem. Oh yeah, the other poem was written by Richard Lovelace. Love that last name. So the next poem that I've selected in contrast with the previous is The Death of the Ball Turret Gunner, and I will read it for you now. This is a 1945 poem written by Randall Jarrell. And this is about the perspective of a gunner in a plane, essentially. Here we go. From my mother's sleep, I fell into the state, and I hunched in its belly till my wet fur froze. 6 miles from earth, loosed from its dream of life, I woke to black flak and the nightmare fighters. When I died, they washed me out of the turret with a hose. That's pretty dramatic. That is a very different way of looking at war and talking about it in a poem. Cause, like, I'm just gonna point out the last part, washed me out of the turret with the hose. If we're gonna talk about perspective here for a second, this poem is from the person that died. So clearly this didn't actually happen, but he's thinking about the realistic perspective and how one death is not as severe. How do you explain it? Talks about how war dehumanizes people because, like, I mean, think about that. Like, they're cleaning the plate of, like, dead bodies and crap. That's nasty. That is absolutely nasty. And, like, in order to do that, you kind of have to, like, imagine doing that all the time and, like, dealing with that all the time. And this poem, I think, really captures that mentality of, oh, this sucks. That's why I say satirical. So yeah, mentality on war has changed incredible, along with the uniforms, like I mentioned before. And I think that comes into play. I mean, you could think about uniforms on a tactical level, of course. It makes more sense to blend in with your environment, but I also think on a mentality level, war is not as glorious as it once was in the eyes of the commoner, you know? And I think this sort of media kind of projects that. To wrap it up, what the heck does this have to do with Iranian naval uniforms? Well, since we've established that how we represent and think about war coincides with how we project ourselves on the battlefield, it's ironic for a couple of reasons. One being that they hate us. They hate westernization, and they're like, "Oh, those filthy Americans." Essentially, their fundamentals as a people do not coincide with ours, but they look pretty much exactly like our uniform. There's the angle. There's the boom, haha, a bunch of explosions in the background. What did we learn today? We learned that, basically, your uniform means a lot about who you represent and how you represent yourself and your country and what you've accomplished. It plays into the changing and development of the uniform has changed over time based on tactical stuff, morale, well, not morale, but soldier thought process. Oh, and it plays into it, like, maybe even represents the core values a culture has. And the Iranian uniform, pretty hilarious because their entire ideology is against ours. And westernization, blah blah blah. And it looks pretty much exactly like ours. What's the deal, Iran? I'd just like to comment on Mr. Green. You're just a guy trying to use a computer. This is the one thing that I've gathered. And honestly, I had a really wonderful time. I'm off to do more quizzes. How do I bring up? I don't even know. I just know I want to throw a book against the wall.
Well, I mean, context is everything. Alright. How
does this work? What the fuck? Oh, no. What have I... I'm so ready for this. Oh god. This has nothing to do with the project. Wait. I can't do it. There's someone downstairs. I just like don't want to raise any alarms. Wait, no, it's not even. Oh. It's not a real air horn. Alright.